saw in our video this past week with our Vacation Bible School, it was quite a good time with music and snacks and crafts, amazing crafts, and great teaching and games and a whole lot of fun and laughing and praying together. All of that was crammed into 9 hours that we had. It was only 9 hours of time that we had with the students. But it was also different this year. This was the 4th year that we've done this, and the first 3 years we had a Christmas theme, which is, in a sense, pretty easy, because there's so much with Christmas. You know, we got shepherds, we have wise men, we have prophecies, we have a baby, we have angels, we have all kinds of things to point to. So many different objects, so many different Bible stories, so many different lessons to draw on. So the Christmas theme is kind of an easy one. Plus, it's a great chance to instill what Christmas is all about before Christmas happens, to ensure that, as much as possible, we get it. So this year, since we had to adjust our time frame because of the school schedule, we had to adjust our topic also. So we had to go with the New Year's theme. And you know, when it comes to the New Year, what do you talk about? Because it's not like the Bible has a bunch of stories about the New Year or about making resolutions or anything that we talk about with the New Year. So what's our in? What's our connection? And that was one of our questions. Well, we are still in the first week of the New Year. And it seems like whenever the New Year happens, we're just always thinking about different things. Like thinking about what's ahead, or thinking about who we want to be, or what we want to change, or kind of a fresh start. You know, throw out the calendar and put up the new calendar, or throw out that habit and put up this habit, or do something different. Is that better? Maybe. We'll see. So, trying to figure out different things, or different ways, or new lists, or new resolutions, or just new things. What's new about the new year, and what do we want to do differently? In a sense, it's a chance to think about what's really important. You know, what are the most important things? So I don't waste my time, so I don't do things that are unnecessary. What are the most important things? And that's one of the questions that we brought to Spy Company. So what are the most important things that we could teach students, and what are the most important things for all of us when it comes to God and Jesus and faith? So to answer that question, we came up with 3 objects: snowflakes, soap, and butterflies. Now, I will say, as a credit, the credit for a lot of this needs to go to Mrs. Mendoza for coming up with so much of this and developing this curriculum and emailing all kinds of exciting things to me in the last couple of weeks about how we could do this. And so a lot of the creative power behind this goes to Mrs. Mendoza. So whatever you like, give her credit. Whatever you don't, say it's me. So 2 winters ago, I had the chance to go skiing. I hadn't been skiing in a decade or 2. And I had a chance to go skiing with my brother-in-law. We did an up and back quick day up to China Peak, and it was the day between the 2 big storms that happened that year. And, you know, a couple feet of snow dropped and a couple feet of snow dropped, and we sort of slid in right in the middle. And snow was falling as we drove up to Huntington, and it was snowing kind of off and on throughout the day. But there were times when the sun peeked through and we had some blue sky, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was a beautiful day up on the mountain. And throughout the day, there was snow falling at different times. And as we were riding one of the lifts up, at one point, the snow was slowly and loosely falling on us. And I looked down at one point on my black glove, and there was snow there, but there were also snowflakes. And they're tiny. I mean, just tiny. And as I looked there, I had to take a picture of it because it was so cool. Some were like these beautiful pointy objects that you cut out of paper. Others were these long sticks. Others were like frisbees. They were more round. Others were like 6-sided discs. I mean, they were all so different. And it was incredible to look at this. God made you and me and everyone else just like snowflakes. All of us custom made, all of us tailored, all of us unique, every one of us one of a kind creations. And Psalm 139 says it well. You created the deepest parts of my being. You put me together inside my mother's body. How you made me is amazing and wonderful. I praise you for that. What you have done is wonderful. I know that very well. None of my bones was hidden from you when you made me inside my mother's body. That place was as dark as the deepest parts of the earth. When you were putting me together there, your eyes saw my body even before it was formed. You planned how many days I would live. You wrote down the number of them in your book, before I had lived through even one of them. God, your thoughts about me are priceless. No one can possibly add them all up. If I could count them, they would be more than the grains of sand. If I were to fall asleep counting and then wake up, you would still be there with me. God's approach to us is not an assembly line where we all come out the same. God did not use a template and mass produce us. God didn't use a form and just fill it and refill it. We are all unique and we are all different according to God's design for each of us. Nobody has ever been the same and nobody will ever be the same. You know, we look different. We have different personalities. We have different gifts. We have different skills. We have different ways about us because God's power is behind us to uniquely make us as unique as every snowflake is in the world. But Psalm 139 doesn't just stop with how we look or how we act. It also describes that God has unique plans and unique purposes for us. It says God's eyes saw, and the vision that God has for us. God's eyes saw my body even before it was formed. You know, that's like the artist or the creator or the person who's drawing or the writer who has this vision inside their head. This is what it can be. And then they actually do it and it comes out. And God had this vision for who we can be, and He created us so that in reality, we are that. Psalm 139 is one of the psalms that I think we can call a "that's amazing" psalm, or God's amazing psalm. Because it seems to say over and over all the different ways that we can be amazed at the things God does. You know, I'm amazed that God made me. I'm amazed that God thinks about me. I'm amazed that God knew me before I even existed. I'm amazed that God has plans for me. And what if that kind of amazement, what if our awe or our amazement that God can do all that, what if that sticks with us? You know, certainly it grows and it fades, and sometimes we have these epiphanies or these moments where like, God, you are amazing. But what if we were continually amazed? What if we fed our amazement so that we were continually amazed? Whenever it snows and we see the snow on the ground and the sun comes out, can we look directly at the bright snow without sunglasses or without anything? We can't. It's so bright. That's because of the reflection off the ice crystals. It's so much brighter. And researchers have found that normally when the sun reflects off the earth, about 40% of the UV rays bounce back and reflect. When it comes to reflecting off snow, it's about twice that. It's 80% of the UV rays bounce back. That's what causes blindness. That's what causes snow blindness. That's why we can't look at the snow. It's amazingly bright. And what if we look at God's stuff that God does, and we can let ourselves be amazed by it? It's okay to be amazed. It's okay to say, God, this is incredible. You did this. It's good to be amazed. And what if we were amazed? That's the first most important thing when it comes to a fresh new year. But even though we are created as radically, specially, beautifully, and fancifully as we are, as these amazing snowflakes that are unlike anything else, we don't stay that clean and bright and pretty. No offense intended. I know I don't stay that clean and fancy. Something happened to our design, and something constantly happens to our design that is against God's original creation. That's where soap comes in. Because we all need to be cleaned up. We all need to get that dirt off. We all need to change in some way because we're not what God originally made us to be. And it's interesting that throughout the Bible, whenever situations come up according to, that there are lots of situations that come up that have to do with water and with washing. You know, there's the water that God led people through to be saved from Egypt, and Moses led them through. There's the water that sprang from the rock that Moses hit so that the people could drink and be supplied, their thirst could be quenched. There's water that Jesus was baptized in. There's the pool of water that the blind man went in, and it didn't just clean him off like the bath was supposed to. It cleaned his blindness away. There's something that happens with washing, that it cleans us, that something happens. And there's a need for us to clean up because we get dirty. Psalm 51 says it well. God, have mercy on me according to your faithful love, because your love is so tender and kind. Wipe out my lawless acts. Wash away all the evil things I've done. Make me pure from my sin. I know the lawless acts I've committed. I can't forget my sin. You are the one I've really sinned against. I've done what is evil in your sight. Purify me from my sins, and I will be clean. Wash me, and I will be whiter than snow. That's amazing. Whiter than snow. The problem, as Psalm 51 points out, is, as we've talked about before, is not just, though, that we sin. It says, I can't forget my sin. We can't get it out of our minds by ourselves. We can't get rid of it. When somebody says, oh, just let it go. I mean, you'll be fine. Just move on. We can't let it go. It's there. It sticks with us. And we need something to help us get rid of it and to move on from it. The psalm also says another problem, that it's not just that if I sin against somebody. It says, I've sinned against who? I've sinned against God. And it says I've sinned against God alone, only God. Which logically is not true, because we've obviously sinned against people or ourselves. But the reality, the deepest level, the feeling is, God, it's only you that I've sinned against. You're the one who set the standard. You're the one who wants this out of me, so I've sinned against you. And we need help with that. We need to be clean. There's been a debate for a long time about antibacterial versus traditional soap. You know, which is better, and is antibacterial really a problem, or really the better solution? And which one should you use to really get clean? The FDA, I know, came out a couple years ago and said it doesn't matter. You can use both kinds of soap and you'll get the same cleanliness, and there's no real difference. I guess they're still researching it. There's probably a debate that's going to go on for a long time about which is right. The point is, we need soap. We need something to clean us up, because we can't get rid of our dirt on our own. We need something to do it. I know in our house we pay attention a lot, especially this time of year, to washing our hands. Especially when we come back from doing anything, and when we leave to go do anything, and when we're eating or when we're doing something else, we're washing our hands. We're paying attention to how long we wash our hands. We try to instill good habits about washing our hands thoroughly and not making the towels dirty. I mean, we try to wash well with soap. What if we worked that hard at getting clean from sin as we do getting clean from dirt? I mean, it takes work, it takes intentionality, it takes time, it takes focus, it takes attention. And what if we used that attention and took that time and gave that attention to being able to be clean and pure and right? I love the sense that Psalm 51 describes, that there's this sense of relief and joy and rest when we do that. Because we need to be clean. Now, for sure, it takes a lot more effort to confess sin and realize we need to be clean inside as it does just wash our hands and be clean outside. But that's the call of Psalm 51. And that's the second of the three most important things that we could do in a fresh year. I know many of us have been to the Monarch Butterfly Preserve over in Pismo. Yes? Yes. Oh, the first time we went there, I remember going out early in the morning, and it was, the sun was still low. It was the time of year when all the butterflies are there, like February-ish. And so the sun was low, and the shadows were long, and so everything wasn't bright yet. And I remember we went there, and we were kind of looking around, and I did honestly think, what's the big deal? Because there were a few butterflies flying around, and that's neat. But it wasn't like you were walking through a butterfly tunnel. And that's what I expected. And I thought, well, what's the deal? Until, somebody pointed out, you got to look up in the trees, and I realized, oh, those aren't leaves. Those are swarms, branches full of butterflies. It was real, and it was beautiful. But butterflies haven't always looked as beautiful as butterflies. We all know they go through metamorphosis, and they change from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And they have this huge change from something that crawls and creeps and is kind of slimy to something that's beautiful and flies and flutters, and we kind of stare at it whenever we see it. And it's a dramatic change from one to the other. And it's not just that it changes from one sort of animal to another, it also changes its whole diet. We watched a video with the kids that described the diet change between the caterpillar and the butterfly. They eat completely different things. I mean, it's like they were born again. It was like they were recreated. A butterfly is kind of a new creation. 2 Corinthians talks about that. When anyone lives in Christ, the new creation has come. The old is gone, the new is here. All this is from God. He brought us back to himself through Christ's death on the cross. And he has given us the task of bringing others back to him through Christ. God was bringing the world back to himself through Christ. He did not hold people's sins against them. God has trusted us with the message that people may be brought back to him. So we are Christ's official messengers. It is as if God were making his appeal through us. Here's what Christ wants us to beg you to do. Come back to God. Christ didn't have any sin, but God made him become sin for us so we can be made right with God because of what Christ has done for us. The first words in this verse, I will give this plan. That step one is the old. And the old is what God doesn't want for us. It's not just that it's old, it's not what it should be. It's what has been corrupted, or it's what is dirty, or it's what's bad. The old is gone. And then it jumps to step 3, the new has come. And the new is what God wants for us. The old is what God doesn't want us to want, and the new is what God does want us to want. And so that's the difference. That's step 1 and step 3. And what does it say is step 2 that gets us from the old to the new? What's in the middle? What has to happen for us to move from old to new? It's that we live in Christ. Christ is the middle part of us moving from old to new. It's a relationship with Jesus. It's a life constantly given to getting a new life, and understanding a new life. It's our transformation. It's our metamorphosis. It's our movement from old to new, or one to the other. But that's not all. We're not done when we get to step 3. Because at least according to this train of thought, that's just the beginning. Because after that, God has given us a task. And the task is bringing others to know God. We actually have a job to fulfill if we've moved, or we are continually moving from old to new. That's our task. And the task is not just ours, but it's joining what God has already been doing. God has been reconciling the world to himself, and he's given us that ministry of doing the same thing. So we're really just joining God in what God's already doing. And that's our job. And better than that, it's like we get a name tag, we get a title. We're called official messengers. We are official representatives and messengers of God. That means we take God's message, or what God has done in our lives, and in whatever form we translate and communicate best, we get to share that with others. If we've moved from step 1 to step 2 and step 3, and we're trying to still figure all that out, we are official messengers to be able to take that to others, to join God in what God's doing. That's the third of the most important things in a new year. As I was teaching this last week and watching others teach in so many different ways, it dawned on me that this isn't just stuff that we need to teach elementary school students. I mean, this is me, and this is us, and this is our story. I mean, we and I are uniquely created by God for a purpose and for a plan. And I need to continually be cleaned up because I get dirty. But I can't do it by myself. I need somebody to help clean me up. And once I do, I can be new. I can be fresh. I can be totally different and totally changed. And there's other people who need to know that too. May this be a good beginning to a new year. Let's pray.